That is an issue.
Yeah.
That is an issue.
Okay, but so getting back to the whole UFO thing and the progress, we don't realize what percentage of life was determined by physics, right? So, for example, Wi-Fi and all the communication is the electromagnetic spectrum, including radio waves. We don't realize the semiconductor, which created the logic gate. All we did was scale it up, and that now it's ChatGPT.
Yeah.
The number of things that have changed the world, whether it's the World Wide Web coming out of CERN, physics is really what has moved the dial, including molecular biology, founded by physicists, more or less. So when you lose this community, you don't understand. Like, you think, okay, that's some egghead shit. It isn't. Physics is basically progress. Physics created the modern economy. And to have a 50-year stagnation, particularly, and I want to draw a really important contrast. 1968 was the year we discovered the quark. So in every proton, there are 3 valence quarks, 2 of them named up, 1 of them named down. In a neutron, it's 2 downs and 1 up. So that's how neutrons and protons are not fundamental. When we found the neutron, it was in 1932. So my aunt, Judy, shout out to Aunt Judy in Philadelphia,
Shout out to Aunt Judy.
is older than the neutron. And the neutron doomed us as a species. Like, that one discovery more or less indicated that if we do not leave this world, we will die here in short order. Because if you throw a proton at a very heavy nucleus, it doesn't crash into the nucleus. You've got all these protons in the center that are all positively charged, and this one guy is coming in, at high speed, and all these massive protons say, like charges repel, and this thing just runs away like a scaredy cat. A neutron is almost a proton. It's basically the same kind of a deal, but with no charge. So it doesn't understand that you're telling it, go back, danger. And it just screams in, and it can split these nuclei, releasing all of this energy. And then you get these chain reactions with the neutrons radiating out. So in 1932, we discovered the neutron. I think it was by 38, this woman named Lise Meitner figures out the chain reaction. By 42, 10 years after the discovery of the neutron, Enrico Fermi, in something called Chicago Pile 1, CP1, crazily does a controlled chain reaction under the bleachers of the University of Chicago, shout out to the University of Chicago Stadium, which could have obliterated the city of Chicago if it had gone critical, right? I mean, if it had just run away. Nobody knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So we trusted the city of Chicago to Enrico Fermi's calculation. By 45, you get Trinity and the 2 bombs we drop on Japan. And then in 1952, game over, you have Ivy Mike and the first thermonuclear weapon based on the Teller-Ulam design, which uses the fission bomb just for foreplay as the detonator that causes the waves to go out, radiate out against the shell. And I think we still don't talk exactly how we do it. And then they bounce off and they compress this rod and core, and then you get fusion rather than fission. And suddenly you're harnessing the power of the sun. And that's when you don't even worry about duck and cover, because thermonuclear is such a leap above fission devices. And that's such a leap above conventional that it takes 20 years for us to become God, right? And this power we can't control. We need to worry about physics because you never know when somebody's going to discover a neutron. In other words, a high leverage object, just like the semiconductor was a high leverage object. The World Wide Web in the early 90s was a high leverage object. Anything that comes out of physics, and Francis Crick, physicist, discovering the 3-dimensional structure of DNA, and then the transfer hypothesis of where you translate DNA into messenger RNA, which gets read in ribosomes. All of these things changed the world and effectively gave us so much power that we don't know how to control it. And we were so scared for 70 years, because it's 6 months between 1952 and 53 where we discover both the atom and the cell and how they work in terms of this forbidden knowledge. We were so scared that we behaved ourselves, and now we're not scared.